Today we have our guest, Meredith. After a rewarding 10-year career in renewable energy, she was ready to embark on her own adventure. Meredith wanted to create something that aligned with her values and interests and served to fill a gap that she had experienced. She founded Hervana Coworking Collective, the only women-focused co-working community in Vancouver in 2017. They opened their physical location in July of 2018. Her mission is to provide a space for women to thrive, to build and grow their businesses, to advance their careers and hone their leadership skills, or simply find an encouraging and uplifting community.
Outside Hervana, Meredith is a passionate Pacific Northwester who loves the rain, the fog, the old trees, and the wild that makes our region unique. She can be found walking the trails with her 2 dogs, Boss and Happy, impatiently waiting for the next Doctor Who Season 2 premiere. She was nominated for the RBC Canadian Women Entrepreneur Award as a Woman of Influence 2 years in a row. She also managed to graduate college and never move back with her parents. She bought a condo in our crazy Vancouver market and got a dog by the time she was 30. So she's definitely a boss babe.
100%.
Glow Radio is a podcast for sassy entrepreneurs who are in the process of quitting their much-hated day job to work for themselves full-time.
You can expect weekly conversations with unapologetic creatives, business owners, and influencers.
We discuss tips on how to reach your goals, manage your time, and keep your sanity while being a major boss babe.
We are Jacqueline and Clara, your favorite hype women who will cheer you on and push you to create the life that you want. We're business strategists, career and life mentors, and wellness advocates. Hit that subscribe button and follow us on IG at Glow Radio Co. Stay sassy, babes! Before we dive into this episode, we want to thank Red Earth Beauty for partnering with us. Red Earth is a beauty company with Australian roots. They embody raw beauty and confidence with a bit of attitude, something we can definitely get behind.
We love that their products are rich with antioxidants and made with natural ingredients. If you want to upgrade your routine with fun and uncomplicated beauty products, use our code XOGLOWUP for 20% off your first order at redearth.com.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode. We have amazing Meredith here, owner of Hervana, and we wanted to ask you what inspired you to develop Hervana. Hervana. I see it too fast and then I zone out. Sorry, guys.
I had worked for an entrepreneur for over 10 years across 2 businesses. And I really loved that environment, that atmosphere. There's a lot of things you got to learn. You kind of just jumped in head first into everything, and you either sink or swim. And you had a lot of say in how the company moved forward. Because typically entrepreneurship, the companies start small and then they get bigger. So if you're involved in an entrepreneur's business at the beginning, you end up having a lot of say. And so being like the control freak that I am, reformed, I loved it because then I liked the influence that I had. But after 10 years, I was ready to do it for myself instead of doing it for somebody else. I put a lot of energy, a lot of effort into someone else's business. And I kind of thought, like, I want the outcome of that. I want to earn the rewards for the effort that I'm putting forward. So I just started looking. I thought I was just going to buy a business. And I started looking for a business to buy. And nothing really, I did my due diligence. I got pretty close to 2. And when it came down to it, looking at their balance sheet, looking at the cash flows, looking at projections, nothing really looked like it was going to pay me enough to make me really care about the business.
Okay.
And I realized I was kind of coming at it the wrong way, because my experience was in managing a business, managing a team. So I thought I could really apply this to any business. And so the businesses I looked at, I didn't really care what they were. But the problem was, then I really just didn't care.
You gotta be a little bit passionate.
Yeah. And then you're just relying on money to make it worthwhile. And for me, at the level that I was when I left that previous career, you know, owning your own business, the ones that I could afford, were not going to pay me enough to make that jump worthwhile. So I'd already made the choice to leave, though. So then I was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? And I just fell upon a piece, a media piece about the Wing in Manhattan. So they are a female-focused co-working space. They're actually a women's club.
Okay.
And when I read about it, it was a space to allow women to work on their businesses, launch their businesses, scale their businesses among other women, and away from some of the things that I had experienced as far as being a woman in business. And my heart just attached to that idea.
Yeah.
And that was it. I decided that is what I want to do, and I'm going to make a way to do it. And end of story. And then I did.
That's awesome.
I know. That's so amazing what you're doing for the female community. It's so nice to have a space where you can just go there. I'm really excited to visit, actually. I really want to go.
Yeah.
So what was the transition process? I know you mentioned you decided to quit your job, but had you quit it already and then you were kind of in this limbo, or?
It was a bit of both. So I knew I was ready to leave. The way that I decided to leave was, it was kind of just, it was fortuitous. A few things happened. So the business that I had been working for decided to move their headquarters to Atlanta. We had built the headquarters, I had built their headquarters in Vancouver.
Okay.
The owner lived in Montreal at the time. And then over the course of those, with that company, about 7 years, he ended up deciding to move to Atlanta where he had family.
Okay.
He was traveling 75% of the time. So it just made sense for us to open the office where I was going to be, which was in Vancouver. So we had built the office in Vancouver, and then when he kind of grew roots and decided he was going to settle in Atlanta, he was starting his family, he wanted to move his office and his business to where he was, which made sense. So I helped him do that, and that kind of was my cue, though, that I could have stayed on, but I would have been working by myself in Vancouver, working from home, which sounds kind of like a dream, but when you work from home for somebody else, you've still got those handcuffs.
Totally.
So I made the choice to leave, and I started to look at that time. I'm not super patient, so I started looking for about 3 months. I started looking, but in those 3 months, I became very certain that I was going to leave. So I gave my notice, and I love a calendar year, love doing things, in ways that just kind of make sense. So Jan 1, basically, I said, you know what, this is great. I've had a really great time. I'm really grateful for all that I've learned working with you, but I'm out. I ended up giving 5 months notice.
Wow. That's really nice of you.
Did you regret that?
At times, certainly. I think I started out giving 3 months notice, and then as we were going through the process of me leaving and letting go of a lot of the responsibilities I had, it turned out that we needed more than 3 months, so it ended up being 5.
Okay.
And I it's one of the things that I'm most proud of is that I was able to leave that company and leave it in a really good fashion. My boss sent my husband and I on a cruise when I left.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It was the nicest way to end a relationship, and we both still have really good feelings about the time that we had worked together, and we stay in touch. But it took 5 months, and at the end of those 5 months, I still hadn't figured out what I was doing. Well, I think by about month 3.5 to 4, I'd found the media piece on the Wing. I decided I was going to bring that to Vancouver, but it was still really early. There was no way I was going to be able to leave and then boom, open doors.
Yeah.
So I ended up working on Hervana for about 1.5 years before we were able to actually open doors.
So you didn't have a location in mind then during that period?
No. A lot, and honestly, the longest part of opening the business, I think, was finding the right location.
How was the whole process, like, from finding the location to actually opening it? Like, I'm guessing you had to go through all, like, the city hall and all those business plans, and, like, did you have to also go through, like, with the bank and get loans and all that?
All of that.
Oh, man.
So that's what that 1.5 year kind of took. Or?
Yeah, so I probably took about a month to write my business plan. I did the business plan writing little boot camp with Futurepreneur, which was amazing because it kind of just, they give you a skeleton and then you work your way through it, and then they review it halfway through so they can tell you if you're on the right track. So business plan was step one. Then it was finding a location as well as getting your finances in order, because nobody's going to finance you until you have the location and everything kind of finalized, but you have to do it sort of at the same time. So looking for funding, looking for a location. Then once you have it, then you have to start paying for things, and then we had to do some renos in the space that I found, so that took about 5 months as well.
Okay.
And then all the while you're marketing, you're making connections.
Yes. And this is all by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Superwoman.
That's so awesome.
That's why we're two of us, and sometimes we're just like, oh my God.
But what are some of your responsibilities now as a business owner?
Like day to day, do you mean?
Yeah, like what's that like?
Well, because I'm running it on my own, I do have responsibilities to be there, which is sort of the biggest piece or the most time-consuming piece. So actually being there, opening up, welcoming people in, and being able to answer their questions and things. I've been really fortunate. There's some people who are part of the community who are just really gung-ho. They really love what I'm doing. And so I created something called Heart Members. And so they're the people who have a lot of heart for Hervana, roughly. And so they come in and sometimes if I need to get away, like if I have appointments, there's other things that I need to do, they come in and they provide that piece for me. So it's not taking all of my time. And then allows me to do some other things. But, it's keeping up the website. It's continually making new connections. It's going to networking events. Marketing, event planning, event posting. I run workshops and do panel events and seminars. I try to do 2 a month. So I spend a lot of time planning that. And then as soon as I've got something on the books to do, then it's marketing it, creating the copy, posting here, letting other people know. There's community partners I have. So I let them all know, I've got an event coming. Can you let your network know?
Yeah.
So...
that's
definitely
a lot.
And then bookkeeping, always.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask about that. Bookkeeping, accounting, I'm guessing, budgeting. You're doing all of that, too.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I have help. I do the basic bookkeeping, and then I hand it off to somebody who knows more than I do.
Okay.
My question, you seem very, I guess you have a method to everything. Would you say that it's, how do I say this? It's kind of like clockwork. Like, once you... or you're going to have this event, then you have everything in order. Like, okay, I'm going to do marketing first. I'm going to design this thing. And then I'm going to, what's your process and step 2?
I mean, having processes is key, super key. And it's just knowing, being able to have a process in place. It allows me to kind of do it without having to think too much about it. So after I did it the first time, just documenting that so that the next time I can do it again, because it does take time. It's kind of one of those things that you don't realize it takes so much time, but it does. Just thinking about what's the next thing I have to do. Okay, I've settled on this is the subject and I found a person to speak on it. Now what? Oh, I've got to create copy. Now what? Oh, I've got to do this. So if you just have that list, it says find the person, find the topic, create the copy, do the next thing, market it in these 5 places, let these 5 people know about it, schedule your Instagram post, schedule your Facebook post, schedule your Instagram live, schedule the next and the next and the next. Then you can just work your way down the list and you don't waste time thinking about what's the next piece.
Because I find I struggle with that sometimes. like, I know what I need to do, but I guess I don't set it in an order. And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. What am I missing? I forgot this. And then it kind of gets all crazy.
Yeah. And I find documenting it, even taking the extra 10 minutes in the beginning, even though, because I do that as well, where it's all in my head and it's always been fairly, like, I've been a fairly organized person in my head. But when you get really busy, all of a sudden, the things that used to be super clear and come very quickly to you in your head gets really foggy. So just getting into the habit to document it at the top. So when you have an idea, then taking your 10 minutes to write down all those things you're going to do so that when you're busy and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, it doesn't make you more overwhelmed to try and really search. You can just, it's there.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
really
helpful.
Good. We'll be making one of those soon. A list. I love lists.
You gotta just get the book and just call it the book, and you just make a page for everything you do. Yeah. Book a guest. Do this. Do that. Do that.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
We're gonna sit down and have a meeting.
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting about that very soon. So, what are some of your favorite ways to market or advertise?
I mean, it's shouldn't be a hard question. Favorite ways to market. I don't know that marketing is my favorite thing. So I think that's why I'm finding it more difficult. Yeah. What I have been doing that I found really worked well is Google Ads. Okay. Specifically for my business, Google Ads has worked well. What I enjoy doing for marketing is Instagram.
Did you have any training in Google Ads, or how did you learn?
Oh no, and I don't do it. I mean, you just have to recognize where your limitations are, and then tap in to somebody who can help you.
If you're enjoying this episode so far, please comment Glow Up on YouTube and leave us a review on iTunes.
Give us 5 stars or we will find you.
We will!
So I was fortunate enough to have a heart member, who specializes in funnels and Google Ads, and I just asked her, well, actually she offered, because she saw that I was putting my efforts in places that weren't the best place for the business or for what my end goal was, which was to bring people in specifically to come in for a tour. And so she just suggested that, Google Ad is a better place to put your time and energy and money than necessarily a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, because they achieve different goals.
That's really good to know.
Yeah. Would you say that you've ever had to turn away a client?
In this business, no. Co-working it's interesting because people want to go work with people who are like them, who are like-minded, or they can benefit from. And so people are really quite self-selecting. So they'll come in, they'll meet me, they'll meet a few of the members, they'll see the environment, and then they'll know whether or not they like it and they fit. Yeah. And so typically people will self-select. In previous businesses, I've had to do that, but not so far now, which is great.
Yeah, because I was worried, someone walks in here and you're like,
not that one.
Maybe not,
How would you describe your target market?
Yeah. So ideally women. My business is open to male, female, and trans, gender, non-binary, anyone. But ideally, I'm looking for women who want to support other women. Women who are working on scaling their businesses, who are serious about their business, who also want to share that experience and their knowledge with other people. So it's that community-minded mentality that, what I've learned can benefit somebody else, and I'm willing to give 5 minutes of my time to help somebody else, knowing that somebody else within our community will also do the same.
That's really I like how it's like fostering a community of connections and really empowering each other. So how did you come up with the name?
I just kind of knocked it around in my mind for a little while. Originally, I was spending a lot of time in Atlanta with that other company, and so originally I just was going to call it Peachtree. And if you've ever been to Georgia, or particularly Atlanta, everything is Peachtree. Peachtree Highways, Peachtree Mall, Peachtree everything. There's the television station. Peachtree as well. No.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Anyway, it was the environment. I was surrounded by Peachtree, and it just kind of stuck, and I wasn't really thinking about it too much, but I knew it wasn't a great name. And then just over time, it kind of just is one of those things where you just had to let it simmer in the background. And then Hervana came out. I looked at some other co-working spaces that had, there's Shecosystem, there's one called Paper Dolls. You know those paper dolls that used to get in magazines and put the different clothes on?
Yeah,
right?
those are my favorite.
I was getting a blank look from you. I'm like, somebody got to know that.
I had it was a birthday card, and it was a little pouch with the different clothes and like folding the corners.
Yeah, so there's lots of, most of the female-focused co-working spaces have some like cutesy angle like that, either, using the word she or her in it or something like that. And so I was bouncing things around, and just eventually it came out. I mean, it's probably also just indicative of my age. Like I loved grunge rock. Like, Nirvana was like a solid part of my childhood. Yeah. So I think it just kind of came together over time. Yeah.
I like it though. It's got that little pop to it.
Yeah, it's very catchy.
Yeah, I've now like taken it. So there's Hervana, and then I do a breakfast series. So once a month we get together at breakfast and we have a guest, and we do a little bit of networking, we do a little bit of learning, and then we do a day of co-working. And so I've named that Her Chats at Hervana.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's really cute.
I like that.
So thankfully that that name that I didn't put that much thought into has turned out to work out pretty well, and I've been able to translate it into other things. Yeah.
Same thing with Glow Radio. We kind of like she came up with this beautiful, and then now we kind of like spin off with like so many different little things that come out with it, and we're just like absolutely in love with it.
Well, we share our branding is fairly similar because my private members Facebook group is called Glow Getters.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're like, copy of that for later.
We're just like,
that's fine. We can share.
Yeah, we can share.
That's our community.
Yeah, community.
So is there any ground rules for members at Hervana? Like, it's pretty much you come and use your space, you're quiet, don't bother the others, or is it more just like, you can roam free and...
It's pretty free. It's just general etiquette, normal office etiquette. Like, if you're loud on the phone, use the phone booth. If you're going to be on the phone for an hour, use the phone booth. If it's a 5-minute phone call, fine, do take it at your desk. Or if you're quiet on the phone, go ahead, take it at your desk. Yeah. If you want to listen to music that's not the music that we're playing, put your earphones in.
Yeah, that's
just general office stuff. And then because we are female focused, there's some what should be normal etiquette rules anyway, and just normal societal rules that we do have to say, like no rape jokes. Yeah. No language that disparages women or any other, or women aren't minorities, but or no language that disparages minorities or anybody who's been infringed in our society.
Okay.
Which, should be just human good behavior.
Yeah.
100%.
But sometimes you gotta say it.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't have to have a female-focused co-working space if everybody just abided by good human behavior. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are workplaces that have been horrendous to work at. And so now we have ground rules.
Yeah. So how did you have the funding to start this business?
Good question. So partly savings, right? You have to bring your own, something of your own. And then I went and got loans. And I was fairly strategic on where I found my funding. So one, Futurepreneur, so they do funding for people who are under 39 or roughly under 40.
Like We've seen it,
and they'll do $5,000 of funding for really cheap. I don't know what the rate is, but it's better than a bank rate.
Okay.
And they also partner with Women's Enterprise Center and BDC. And so if your funding gets approved through Futurepreneur, you're kind of roughly pre-approved for the other places.
Okay.
A lot of places you need to have your business plan reviewed, and the bank won't do that for you, or the other lenders won't do that for you. You have to go get it independently reviewed. And so if you do it through the Futurepreneur plan, then they've reviewed your business plan, so there's that benefit. They are also really good about backing the people that they've financed. So whenever I have an event, when on my list of, let these 5 people in your network know that you've got an event, Futurepreneur is one of them. I call them up or I send them an email saying, hey, I've got these 2 events coming up this month. Would you mind passing that out to anybody you know would be interested? And they've got so many touch points within the community that it works out really well, and they're really happy to help promote that. I also got funding from Women's Enterprise Center. And again, that was strategic. Women's Enterprise Center specifically supports women-owned businesses. So again, they, whenever I have an event, they're one of my people in my network where I say, I've got these events. Can you please let your network know? And their network is my ideal audience. They're women who own their businesses and are looking to build their business. Great. I, in the end, also went to BDC. And so BDC, are you familiar with BDC?
No, I'm not.
So it's Business Development Canada, and they specifically are there's a government affiliation, or I think they are a branch or funded by the government to fund small business.
Okay.
Yeah, so their requirements are a little bit different from the bank. So they'll fund things that the bank won't. They will fund for your just cash flow. So you just need a certain amount of cash to start running your business, and banks will not provide that for you. They won't. They won't do that. You'll be able to get a line of credit, but you won't be able to get your operating cash as a loan. So BDC will finance that, and BDC will finance things like if you're purchasing a business, they'll finance a little bit like of goodwill money. So they just allow for a little bit more room than the bank will. Yeah. So in short, to summarize,
that's good. That's a lot of options.
I brought a nugget of my own, and then I went and got financing. Yeah.
That's good. I'm sure our listeners will appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a lot of information. I've learned about BDC, so I'm like, that's really good. What would you say is your greatest fear, and how do you manage that fear?
So I think my biggest fear is that I could have done more. And that's across the board, not just in business, but where I first heard this sentiment was from my best friend, and she was speaking about it in the context of a relationship. And so in a normal relationship, as long as it's not toxic or, abusive or anything, her mentality was always, I never want to be the one to walk away thinking, I could have done something else. And it was kind of it was an aha moment and a learning lesson for me, because I was prideful. If I'm being honest, do you know, where I was like, well, you don't want me, I don't want you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she said, no, if you've had a good relationship with a person and it's falling apart, you don't ever want to look back and think, oh, I wish I had tried that one last time or done this one last thing. So, never, the fear of I could have done more is the biggest thing. So, even in a personal relationship, if a friendship's falling apart, like, always be the last one to call, always be the last one to say I love you. Like, if it's not going to work out and it's not like a toxic or abusive thing, then let them walk away from you. Yeah. And you've done everything you could to make that work. And so same with business.
That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's such a good point.
And then it just applies to business, right? Like, if I could have done more, like, what a stupid reason for it to have not worked out.
Yeah.
That is actually so true. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like,
let that marinate.
I'm like, oh, what can I do more? But,
yeah. That's really good. What would you say is the way you define success? Or how do you define success?
My own success or success in other people?
Your own,
okay.
For you, for yourself and your life.
Okay, so for me, it's I would see success as when I am calm and peaceful. I'm a very caring person, and so I mean I've I attached my whole life to this idea of making life easier for women, specifically in business. And so I get attached to causes. I also, I can't, so small business owner secret, I actually, at the end of events, I will end up going through the garbage because I can't not recycle. It bugs me too much. So at the end of an event, I put on a pair of gloves and I just pull out the things that should have gone in the recycling and put them in the recycling.
Yeah.
And, it's not always glamorous, of course, obviously, and there's that little secret. But I attach myself to causes. So for me, success will mean that I have done everything, right? I've done everything, and now I have this sense of peace and calmness that I gave it everything I could, and I can rest easy because there was nothing that I didn't do. That, to me, is success.
No, that's
I agree
good.
with that.
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like for me, I often think about, when I'm on my deathbed and, if I have any regrets in life, I don't want that. So that's kind of, a reoccurring thought. It's a little bit dark, I guess, for some people, but that's what I think about. So whenever I'm doing something in life, I'm like, did I do everything that I wanted, or will I regret this on my deathbed?
Yeah, she shares that with me. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, Jacqueline. She's like, will you regret it? What if you die tomorrow? And I was like, you know what? I would. So.
Oh, that's nice that you have her to say that.
Yeah. So this is the part where our business talk is over. We're going to ask you just a couple of random questions just to get to know, not your business side. Our first random question is, whose advice do you always listen to?
Oh, this is the worst question. I am so stubborn, and I don't listen to anyone really well.
Yeah.
I try to, though. I really try to. Who do I listen to?
That's fair. You can say yourself.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe myself.
Yeah.
I could kind of say I listen to everybody who gives me advice. I don't choose to follow it. I really, as far as whose advice do I follow? This guy. I mean, ultimately, I'm the one that's going to end up on the hook and responsible for my actions. Yeah. So it really needs to make sense. But I mean, I have so many great people in my life who offered me advice and that I can turn to. I have a cousin who has her PhD in business. She's also a lawyer. She's just insanely talented. Yeah. And so, I can go to her and she can give me advice, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. And I have in my family a few entrepreneurs that I can go to and ask for their advice. I have mentors. So one of my mentors is actually a cousin of mine, and she has always worked in startup environments. Yeah. And she's great. And so I asked her to mentor me. And so I turn to her all the time as well. I got paired up with a mentor through one of the programs that I'm in. And specifically, I asked for somebody to help me with marketing and somebody who knew social media. I wasn't a social media person in the beginning. And so I'll go to her. And then on the personal side, I really turn to my sister and my husband. Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's a woman thing. It is a woman thing. Well, I know my personality really well, and I know I have some blind spots. And so I have to ask somebody who doesn't have those blind spots. And I know that my sister and my husband are better people than I am in certain areas. And so, and I trust them with my whole heart to tell me what they think I'm doing wrong. Yeah.
Well, that's a really good answer, actually. So you take bits and pieces from people who are kind of where you want to be and then apply it to your own life. Yeah. Yeah. So next random question, what is one skill that you would like to master? Or a few skills. You can say more than one if you want.
So, I mean, something that's never going to happen. I would love to be able to sing, but it's not happening. I really want to learn I really wanted to learn how to play either the piano or the violin like a good Asian. But
that's really rare to say.
I
played piano for like over 10 years.
Well, I grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm Asian descent, so I'm half Japanese. And there's just a lot of societal pressure, and I'm sure you've both experienced this. People say, oh, you must be good at math, you must play the piano, you must play the violin.
Yeah.
And I think I was self-conscious about the fact that I was a very Canadian girl with Japanese written all over my face.
Yeah.
And so every time somebody came at me and said, oh, you must do this thing that I assume is a stereotype, and I would have to say no,
Yeah.
You say no, and you see the disappointment in their face. Do you speak Japanese? No.
Yeah.
Disappointed. That I think it just manifested in, maybe if I played the violin, people would leave me alone. But I also really enjoy the violin. I actually really enjoy listening to the violin.
Yeah.
I think it's a very pretty instrument.
Yeah.
And so just like singing, I think I would like to do it. It probably won't happen, but maybe.
You never know. It can start in the car, in the shower, and then it'll develop into something.
Well, maybe when I've done all of the recycling, and I've done all of the things for women in business, then I can just go ahead and learn the violin for myself.
Yeah, you could take a lesson. I'm sure it's not too late.
Yeah, just an hour a day or something.
I think, I always tell myself in another universe or in like a parallel universe, I would either be a singer or an Olympic athlete, which is not going to happen now, but it's fun to think about that.
You got to find that really rare sport, right? You need to be Cool Runnings. Find the thing that our country does not have a person in and get in there.
Like a speed walker. I feel like I'm really fast at speed
I'm
walking.
pretty sure there are a lot of people that are going to beat you at speed walking.
Probably, yeah.
And don't forget, there's always the Senior Olympics.
Okay.
Right? Just stay in shape till you're in your 60s and then achieve that dream.
Yeah, it's never too late.
I'll be the 65-year-old javelin thrower. I'm doing it. Yes.
That'll be lit. Okay, last random question. What is your favorite Disney movie?
So when I was a kid, I loved The Fox and the Hound. Are you familiar with that one?
Not too familiar.
I don't think I've ever
It's not really well known. I mean, that's my personality in a nutshell. Find something super rare that nobody knows about and then devote your life to it. So I loved The Fox and the Hound. It's a great movie. It has a little, beagle with I guess it's a beagle or a basset hound.
Oh,
with the big ears, and he does tiny O's, and then a fox, and they're best friends, and they're not supposed to be, right? And it's just, I loved that, and then I got on board with Lilo and Stitch, and Ohana means family.
Oh my God, I cried so hard to that movie.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was so emotional.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I cried to all.
I always cry during every movie.
I mean, anything that resembled an animal, and so Stitch kind of is animal-like.
Yeah,
that was my jam. I was just really into animals. Still am.
Yeah. No,
me too.
Yeah, we all are here.
I send way too many animal memes and Instagram stories. I'm just spamming people with it.
What cannot be answered by a GIF of either a cat or a dog doing something, or one of those little baby jumping goats?
Oh yeah,
right.
Or the other day we were looking at one of an otter.
I sent her one. It was an otter crying, and it was like.
We were dying.
I was like, "This is my life now."
Yeah. No. Yeah. You could, That's enough. Yeah. Animals for life.
100%.
Yeah.
So we do have our final section. The pressure is on. It's a lightning round.
Okay.
So
I'm ready.
This is a this or that, and we do judge.
Okay. No, I am great at competition.
Okay. All right. It's on.
Okay. A live-in massage therapist or live-in chef?
Massage therapist.
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Be born in the future or the past?
Do I get to pick when?
Yes.
Past.
Be logical or creative?
You're going to judge me on this one. Logical.
Ooh.
I kind of dig that, though. Okay. Ice cream cone or snow cone?
Snow cone.
New clothes or new phone?
New clothes.
Receive an email or receive a letter?
Email.
At
Gross.
Like a, handwritten passion.
No.
Hello, my dearest.
No.
At the movies, it's candy or popcorn?
Popcorn.
Blue or red?
Blue.
Swimming?
Wait.
Oh, judging. We're judging.
No, blue.
And the last one is swimming or sunbathing?
Swimming.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm a sunbather.
Me too. I have a fear of water.
Really?
I do. I like, when I was younger, I
All
would
the
cry.
animals in there, though. Like swimming, ocean swimming, not pool swimming.
Oh. I don't want to know the animals in that one. The pool.
Animals in the pool. No, I can't. I don't know. I would cry during my
could
swimming
snorkel
lessons.
But you
for
said
days.
we're gonna go scuba diving.
Maybe. I think
You
I would.
agreed to
I
it.
would
It's
cry.
too bad. Well, you're gonna go cry the whole way. Like,
Just go snorkeling because the scuba, like the gear and the face,
Yeah,
and then
that
like the
scares
waves.
me.
But you can snorkel for days.
I've snorkeled before. It kind of makes me a little nervous.
Does it? Really?
Like if the water gets into my tube or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like a pussy like that.
I've just seen so many of the coolest. Okay, we're going back to animals here, but I've seen so many of the coolest things. So
Yeah.
obviously turtles, like just majestic beasts
Yeah.
of the ocean, like ugh. But I've seen a blowfish blow up.
Ooh, I've never seen that yet.
Ooh, I want to see that.
Yeah.
I've seen eel. So I saw an eel and he was sticking in and out of his little rock
with that
eel
face?
hut.
That's
Ooh.
Yeah, no, their little mouth opens. But then I waited on him, and he like hopped out of one rock and went into another, and then
Oh
I
my
watched him
goodness.
like snake his little underwater snake eel
Yeah.
body
Where was-
in and out of
Where
rocks.
was the best place that you snorkeled? Like that you got to see all this tropical.
The blowfish was in Mexico,
Okay.
and then the eel was in Hawaii, and I saw an octopus in Hawaii as well.
Ooh, how big is an octopus?
I think they can shrink and
Underwater,
grow
yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah,
they
okay.
can change their
Oh my
shape.
goodness.
Yeah,
That's
you never
pretty
get
cool.
close enough to really understand how big they
Yeah.
are, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to see one that's like.
Yeah, I think I would be freaked
You're like-
out. I would cry then.
I wanted to see a shark, but I didn't get a chance to, and I was really sad because I was scuba diving, and then I guess we're the beginners group, and we couldn't go as far as some of the people, so we couldn't see the sharks, and I was like, I'm really scared, but also really wanted to see it. So.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones you're like, this is my defining moment. I would like to see one and just see what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I would like to see a shark. I haven't seen one either.
Okay, we're gonna go.
Okay.
We're gonna go
You're
to
out.
Bahamas.
I'm out.
No, she's gonna cry the
I'm gonna
whole
cry the whole time.
In the mask, crying.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
Thank
you.
you so
Yeah, thank
much
you
for
so
coming.
much.
We had
Thank you
so
for
much
having
fun.
me.
Yeah, it was awesome learning about Hervana, and I hope everyone will check you out because I feel like it's such an amazing co-working space.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you online?
So my website is www.hervanavancouver.com. I'm at Hervana Vancouver on Facebook and Instagram, and that's about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So make sure to check her out. Thank you
We're
so
gonna
much.
go for a tour sometime.
Yes.
We're gonna document all of it.
Great.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, Glow Babes.
Give us your 5 golden stars on iTunes and we'll be your best friends, I swear. And please share this episode with your babes that need some glow and will benefit from this. Thank you.
Go,